So I've been curious about this line of model kits for a while, from Trumpeter. And essentially, they've taken Bumblebee movie designs and turned them into little model kits. And if you know me, I like building myself some robot model kits. So I decided to go ahead and get Soundwave, because he's my boy, and check out the Trumpeter model kit. It's a pretty cool box. It's pretty neat, very high-grade sized. You can see how it looks with Starscream. This actually does have a lot of pre-painting to it. And you can see there's a lot of lineups of other characters, and it's pretty neat. But I got this, and I built it, and I am here to talk about it. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is it. He tiny. It is very, very small. I was shocked at how tiny this model kit is. It is very, very small. It's pretty neat, but it's pretty small, and it's also pretty expensive. So for comparison, this is a high-grade Gundam Aerial from the latest Gundam show, Witch from Mercury. Pretty cool show. Love it. Wish it was longer. But let's actually get this Soundwave standing straight. I would say the Soundwave in complexity and everything is pretty akin to a high grade. I do have to keep in mind there is printing on this. They actually did paint a lot of the little details onto the Soundwave, so like little hits of silver, little hits of red. The face is painted. The little Ravage inside is all painted. You know, it has paint on it. However, look at how tiny it is compared to a high grade. It's pretty small. In fact, I would actually say its size is pretty comparable to a 3 3/4 inch figure. You know, it's just ever so slightly taller than a 3 3/4 inch like Star Wars figure or something. So it's a pretty tiny guy. I would say it's maybe even like around a little taller than Core Class. It's pretty small. And again, you know, it does have paint on it, but this Gundam Aerial is around 20 or so bucks, depending on where you get it. And I spent $35 on this Soundwave and Ravage kit. $35, and that is actually the lower end, because I got this from Big Bad Toy Store, and Big Bad Toy Store had 2 listings for this guy. I purchased the $35 one. There is another listing that, as far as I know, is still active, that for whatever reason, some reason I cannot comprehend or understand, is $60. And as far as I know, it is the exact same model kit. So would I recommend this for $60? Absolutely not. No way. Would I recommend it for $35? Well, just let's ignore the Ravage. Let's ignore the Ravage, because you do get the Ravage with this. Let's just say this Soundwave is $35. Voyager classes are also $35. And you can see there is quite the size difference, isn't there? Between the Voyager class Bumblebee movie Soundwave and the little Trumpeter model kit. And the details are pretty comparable. Paint is pretty much in the exact same spots. Articulation is pretty similar, and this one can transform, but it's not very necessary. So yeah, when it comes to like value for money and everything, if you're a Soundwave collector and you just love Soundwave and you want another representation of Bumblebee movie Soundwave, sure, get the Trumpeter kit. But if you're not really into model kits and you want a Bumblebee movie Soundwave and you see this as an option, just get the Studio Series. Just get it. Because for $10 more, pretty much, this is $35 for Soundwave and Ravage. It's pretty much $45 for this Soundwave and Ravage. And one funny thing, the Ravages are about the same size. Isn't that funny? I do have to say the detail on the Trumpeter Ravage is a little bit higher than the transforming Hasbro one. But again, this one transforms. I do have to say, though, like, just comparing these Ravages side to side, I would give it to the Trumpeter. Like, the Trumpeter does look better. But again, keep in mind, this one can transform and go into the chest. This one cannot. This one, this just comes with a little pre-painted, folded-up Ravage that, you just put inside. And it's nicely painted. You can see, like, the little logos and everything. You can see the little arms and legs folded up. But it just goes inside, and you just close it. But still, it's, this is a nice little Soundwave. It is. But I just don't think it's very, I'm very underwhelmed with it, shall we say, because it's just so small. It's very, very small. I do appreciate the paint, again. You know, the head's pretty nicely painted. It's got some nice paint on this chest piece. It's got a little bit of silver, you know, little gunmetals, little reds. It is nicely painted, and it does feel pretty solid, I say as a leg falls off. It does feel pretty solid. It does have a weird issue with the shoulder pads. They like friction clip on, and they just kind of dangle, and they're pretty loose. I mean, they stay on, but it's just not secure enough, at least for my liking. The elbows, too, the comprehension of, like, understanding, like, the positioning of pieces to build to these joints is actually pretty high. You have to be pretty attentive to understand, like, the joints and, like, all the pieces, because they molded them way too complexly for their own good. So the building process was a little like, okay, let me make sure this piece is going in the right spot, because for whatever reason, this is, like, slightly shaped differently than the other side. Because if it was any other, like, model kit, like, these legs are pretty much identical from, like, the knees down. It would be, like, the same leg build, except different armor at the hips. That's what other model kits would do. But this one was a little more complex, a little more complicated. And, you know, if you like that kind of build, then, you know, this might be for you. But you got to keep in mind, man, you know, this is still pretty expensive. And if you're looking for a model kit experience, you can get something that is, in my opinion, way cheaper and way better. Like this high-grade Gundam Aerial, like, go to Target and pick one of these up, because it is an amazing model kit. It's great. I haven't gotten the rebuild yet, but I also, I've got the Lafrith. I haven't built that, but I've heard the Lafrith is even better. What does this Soundwave come with, anyways? Well, he's got hands. He's got open hands. He's got fisted hands. That's it. No gun. No gun, just hands. He does come with this display base, which actually has a lot of little joints and things in it. There's like a, you know, a hinge and a swivel, and then there's another hinge that just came undone, but then another swivel down there and another hinge. I have noticed this is one of those hinges where you move it and it comes out. It's one of those hinge deals. So you move it, comes out. Very annoying. So if you move it, you have to either like move it where you're like forcing it together still and making sure it stays together, or just like pinching that joint while you move it. A little on the annoying side, because it's one of those. But the base itself's pretty neat. You know, you can move the arm in different places if you need to. You do get this little Decepticon badge in the front. And it's funny, this is just a generic base. So you also get an Autobot badge. For other characters, like this exact same base comes with Bumblebee or Cliffjumper or RC or whatever. It's a nice base. You know, the arm, it does hold the weight of the figure. And you can see it's also has some nice little detail on the back. I actually really like that little vent right there in the cannon. I think that's nice. So yeah, you know, it's got some nice paint on it. It does feel fairly durable, but the building process wasn't super fun. It's just on the, you know, on the finicky side, on the tiny side. I do like it, you know, as a model builder. I do appreciate this kit, and I could weather it up. I could make it look a lot better. I don't think I will, at least not right now. The Ravage is also pretty neat. Pretty simple, you know, doesn't transform, but you do have a jaw that can move. You do have arms that you can move. You can move the elbows, the little paws. You can move the torso a little bit. It's a nice little Ravage. It really is. I would say figure-wise, it is better than the core class. But again, it doesn't transform, so you have to keep that in mind. I do like the little details, though. You know, the little bits of paint here and there. Little Decepticon logo. I actually do love Ravage's color scheme from the Bumblebee movie. It's kind of nice they decided to give him, like, Laserbeak's colors. So they kind of fit together a little bit more. They look more like a team. Even though Laserbeak's not in the movie. It'd be kind of cool if we saw Laserbeak in these new movies at some point. Yeah, the Ravage is pretty neat. Actually, a lot of pieces are dedicated to this Ravage. I was pretty surprised. I finished the Soundwave, and I'm like, wow, there's still so many pieces left, and it's just for Ravage. But I do like it. I do like the inclusion. It is definitely not in scale with the Soundwave, given the size of him in the chest. Keep that in mind. You know, this is not in scale, but it is a thing. One of the last things I actually do want to talk about, though, is the head sculpt. I don't know if this is just based off of concept art or what. Let's actually just pop it off. Let's just pop off the head. It's got like this weird ear thing going on. The ears are just... What's that on my thumb? Anyways, the ears are just sticking out way too far. I don't really know what's going on with that. They almost look like rabbit ears. It's like bringing in the Studio Series real quick. We can see that the ear pieces, they don't stick out like that. And that's how it is in the movie. He doesn't have this weird sticky outy ear deal, but for whatever reason the Trumpeter model kit does. I really don't understand that. I really don't. But still, you know, the paint on the face is nice, and it does have a little bit of gunmetal on the side. It's a decent little head, but it's just unfortunately got an odd little design element to it. But anyways, that's pretty much it. There's not too much to talk about. Let's go over the articulation in a little bit more detail, I guess. I did already go over Ravage's. He's pretty simple. His head is on a ball joint right there. He does have like a ball joint stem that goes into the torso, as well as a hinge. Does move forward. The shoulder pad moves out of the way. He does have a bicep swivel. He does have a pretty decent elbow. You know, it doesn't work too bad. Ball joint at the hand. He does have a swivel at the waist, which I think works pretty well. And then he does have these little skirt pieces that move out of the way. And I do actually think these skirts move out of the way better than any of the other versions of the Soundwave. I've got the 3.0 one, and those are pretty annoying, but I think these actually work really well. I don't remember how they work on the Studio Series. Isn't it just like one big piece? And yeah, it's just one big piece on the Studio Series, so that's by far the worst. But I actually do think that's done pretty well on the Trumpeter. Look at that pose. Oh my gosh, he's running. He's running. The cannon is on a like a ball joint, and it like attaches on that armature with a little peg, so it swivels. The legs, they move out a little bit, they move forward. He's got a bit of a thigh swivel. Double knee works pretty well, and then his ankles are on a ball joint, so you get a pretty good bit of range there. So overall, do I recommend the Soundwave? It's up to you, man. It's up to you if you just want a nice little Transformers model kit in your life. Because if you just want a Bumblebee movie Soundwave, I would go with either Studio Series, or if you want to go big bucks, 3.0. Me personally, the 3.0 is one of my favorite pieces in my entire collection. So I love that one. It's a little too big to compare in this video. I'm sorry, I'm not going to bring it out. But I love the 3.0. This one's neat. I do enjoy it. But you can see the legs on Ravage kind of pop off sometimes too. It is neat. I do enjoy it. I'm happy I have it. But I definitely could have lived without it. It's just a neat little piece to add to my Bumblebee, you know, movie Soundwave collection, because I love this design. It is my favorite Soundwave design, and I'm happy to have another toy of it. It was kind of fun to build it. I do wish Flame Toys was making Bumblebee movie model kits instead, though, because I think Flame Toys does a better job with model kits, even though they probably wouldn't have painted it. You know, there would have been any paint. Details would have been stickers or, like, molded separate pieces. But I do like this. I do like this. It's just up to you. Absolutely not at $60. Hell no. Ridiculous price. No idea where that's coming from. But, at 30, 35, it's not bad. But there are definitely other model kits that give you a lot better value out there for $35. Like, you can get a pretty decent real grade for $35, I'm just saying. Alrighty, guys, there we go. Here's a little look at Trumpeter Soundwave. Pretty cute little dude. I like him. Just not perfect. He's got some weird things going on. Thank you guys so much for watching. Special shout out to channel members as always. Thank you all so much for the continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.